If you struggle with a mood that is regularly up and down, this one is for you. To set the scene, my name is Dave Cottrell, and as well as being a lived experience educator, I have lived with bipolar disorder my entire life. And to be fair, I have let the fact that my moods should be constantly up and down be the reason that I just allow them to be so much of the time. Now, before anyone says, is this guy about to try and out-mindset bipolar disorder? No, this isn't that at all. What I'm going to talk about here is about controlling the things that you can control whilst accepting the things that you can't. There are so many things in our lives that are within our control, but when we have a mental health condition, we can become defeated by that and resign to the fact that certain things will just never work for us or certain things will never be right for us. This is a form of learned helplessness, the idea that if we believe that we can't do something, we don't even try. And if we don't try to do something, we definitely won't do it. Not that we can't do it. We won't do it. Now, I let this particular way of thinking control the first 3 decades of my life. And as I go into my 40s, I'm just done with that now. The uncomfortable truth is that it's easy to hide behind the idea of what's the point in even trying, because it keeps us, well, safe, secure, small. I talk about this concept in many videos. Your inner critic, your anxiety, your depression, all of these things are actually working for you. They're trying to keep you safe. And safe's great, but have you ever tried flourishing? So I want to take a few minutes here and explain to you the biggest habit changes that have made the most positive impact to the stability of my mental health and the stability of my energy and my mood. This is not clinical advice. This is just one guy who lived through it, sharing with you the things that work for him. It all started with what I would call a habit audit. What this means is I sat down and I looked at the things I spend the most time doing. We may think as habits as being only the things that we choose to do, but actually some of the biggest habits in our lives are the things that just happen automatically. Doom scrolling, I'm looking at you. I often like to talk about behaviors as slingshots and boomerangs. A boomerang being something that goes forward, gives you something positive first, only to give you something negative in the long run. A slingshot being something that takes time, takes effort, costs you effort up front, but gives you the result in the long run. A super simple way of fixing all your habits is to swap any boomerangs for slingshots. But hey, let's be realistic here. We're allowed the odd vice or two, aren't we? So instead, with this habit audit, it comes down to saying, how much value does this give to me? And how much am I actually willing to change it? Doom scrolling is a massive one for me that had to go. But at the same time, I probably get the same response from bullet chess, and I still play that thing daily. Although editors note, maybe I shouldn't. 2 books that really impacted my thoughts on this is The Dose Effect by TJ Power and Dopamine Nation by Anna Lemke. At the end of the day, all habits are a product of what they do for us with the reward neurotransmitter dopamine. And TJ Power likes to talk about the concepts of fast dopamine and slow dopamine. Things out there that give us fast dopamine, they are the boomerangs. They give us the reward that we're looking for up front. They give us the pleasure straight away, and the pain only comes later. Whereas things that give us slow dopamine, they're often slingshots. Spending an hour reading, that can be a slingshot. You might sit down at the beginning of that and just find it so impossibly difficult to get into. This is another area where learned helplessness creeps in, because if you sit down and try to read and do something with slow dopamine after you've been feeding that fast dopamine all day, you're going to find it super difficult. And chances are the first thing your inner critic's going to say is, this must be a problem with me. I must just be a bad reader. I must just not have a concentration span. All those messages are just doing you harm. But switching these fast dopamine habits for slower dopamine habits has been the one thing that has made my mood so much more consistent than it's ever been at any point in the 44 years of my existence. And I think that's worth shouting about. Biggest indicator for me is, how do you feel afterwards? If you sit there and you doom scroll and go, hey, I'm happy with the fact that I've just had downtime for the last 20 minutes and I enjoyed myself, crack on, you go for it. But if you come off it and you're thinking, I'm never going to get that time back, I feel terrible about it, but still feel that pull back to the phone to go and do it a little bit more, maybe it's time to address it. One thing I've really got into recently is reading classic novels. I'm currently about 100 pages away from the end of War and Peace. And despite the fact that I've put hours and hours and hours into that book, and it's probably not as entertaining as some of the shorter novels that I read, I never come away from a session of reading it thinking, I wish I hadn't done that. I even now look at the struggle I feel when I sit down to read and my body wants to reach for that fast dopamine. I see that as an indication of the problem itself. These fast dopamine behaviors, they may be designed to be addictive, but by giving in to that addiction, we don't scratch the itch. We make the itch worse. And I say all of this while knowing that I have a brain that wants to reach towards those things because it actually has an inbuilt dopamine deficiency as part of my condition. But instead of sitting back and saying, this is the hand I'm dealt, I feel like that gives me even more of a responsibility to control the things that I can. I'm not saying that this is the universal fix-all for fluctuating mental health and fluctuating mood. I'm just giving you something that worked for me, and I hope that it works for you. Start today by auditing those habits. Think about what they give you, think about what they take away, and decide for yourself whether that is worth it.